Welcome, Rabbi Yitzchak, to another Chazara Shiur on Sugיא Yud Gimel. Sugיא Yud Gimel is an amazing Sugya. It's a very gishmakish Sugya, very gishmak. Certain parts are a little bit more heavy, a little bit more deep, but once we understand them, once we get them, they're very gishmak. Part of this Sugya we already recorded as a bonus, being that it was a little bit of a deeper and more tough piece. So we recorded as a bonus just that part, so you don't need to wait until the end of the Sugya for the Chazara Shiur. We already recorded that. And as I gave a shout out at the end of that video, at the end of that bonus Chazara Shiur, I gave a shout out to a Talmud who understood this piece so well, and he was radiating with such a geschmack of understanding the Sugya. And let's go right ahead. Before we start, let's go over some of the things that we need to know beforehand. Number one is Pshia. What's negligence? So let's say if I give my laptop to Rafi to watch, and Rafi leaves it on the street corner, outside on the sidewalk. That's negligence, and it gets stolen. Then the din is Rafi will be chayav to pay me. Next is oinus, something uncontrollable. Let's say I give my laptop to Chaim Tzvi, and he puts it in he puts it in his cubby, puts it in a safe place, and the whole building is flooded. That's uncontrollable, and then Chaim Tzvi is going to be potter. What about chilase b'pshia v'seifa b'oinus? What's at the beginning is a pshia and the end is an oinus. Take, for example, if I give my laptop to Shlomo and he leaves it in the hallway, so it's a pshia, it's negligence. But what ends up happening is that the whole building gets flooded, so it ends up with something uncontrollable. That's chilase b'pshia v'seifa b'oinus. Actually, chilase b'pshia v'seifa b'oinus is a machlokes that is discussed on Daf Mem Beis and Mem Gimel, regarding a story that someone gave money to a shepherd to watch, and he put it in the hut that the shepherds would rest in. Okay? So the shomer put the money in this hut. Now this hut, the problem with this hut is that it's very flammable. It's easily able to catch fire, so it's really not a good place to watch money. It's a pshia, it's negligence. But what ended up happening was it did not catch fire. Rather, what happened was it got stolen, which is considered a oinus, because this is a very good hiding spot for money. Ganavim don't usually go there. So in such a case, where the shomer put the money in this hut, where it's negligence, and what ended up happening was an oinus, there's a machlokes. One person that holds, says, Chilase b'pshia v'seifa b'oinus is chayiv, and another man Omar says Chilase b'pshia v'seifa b'oinus is potter. Now that we have this clear, let's move on to our Sugya. We'll go through each part of our Sugya. Sugya has 4 parts. We'll go through Havana on the slideshow, and the Fnim, Gemara and Rashi, reading, breaking, and translating. Let's go right ahead. The case of our Sugya, this case that threads through the entire Sugya, is Pashabab. If, for example, let's say I give my animal to Mendel to watch, and Pashabah, he was negligent in it. He left the doors wide open. Viyatzet Laagam, and it went out to the swamp. The Mesa Kedarka, and it died naturally over there by the swamp. Now, what's the din in this case? So, Abaya said that in the name of Rabba, that you are chayiv. In this case, you are chayiv. Rabba says in the name of Rabba that you are potter. Rabba was their teacher. And Abaya remembered hearing from Rabba Chayiv. Rabba remembered hearing from Rabba that he's potter. Now, each one, Abaya and Rabba, were both so strongly passionate about what they held that they went so far to say, Abaya said, Chayiv, and Kol Daina, any judge, the Loi Dain that does not judge Ki Haidina like this judgment, Lav Daino, he's not even a judge. Everyone agrees with me. Now, hold on 1 second. Now that we said that, let's see, Taka. Does everyone agree with him? What about the two opinions about Chilase b'pshia v'seifa b'oinus? So you don't need to tell me. It's quite obvious that the man that says Chilase b'pshia v'seifa b'oinus chayev will for sure agree with Abaye. What about the man that says Chilase b'pshia v'seifa b'oinus potter? Seemingly, this case is a Chilase b'pshia v'seifa b'oinus, and he says chayev. Everyone agrees with him. Well, we see an opinion that holds Chilase b'pshia v'seifa b'oinus potter. Says Abaya, no, even they're going to agree with me that in this case, you are chayiv. Why? Because in this case, had Havlo the Agma Katlu. The ear of the swamp is the one that killed it. And therefore, everyone's going to agree with me that in this case you are chayiv. Anyone that doesn't agree with me is not even a dayan. And Rashi explains, what's taka the difference? What's actually the difference between a regular case of tchilas b'pshir v'seif b'inus and this case of pashav al viyatzat lagam me'sekadam? And Rashi says, in the case of tzrifa d'urvini, in the case of the heart, of the money in the heart, the pshia, the negligence that's able to be flammable, and what ended up happening, the oines, the theft, had nothing to do with each other. The fact that he put it in the hut did not bring about it being stolen. The pshia did not bring about the oines. But in our case, when it seems like the pshia brought about the oines, no, says Abaya. The pshia did not bring about the oines. It brought about the pshia. The fact that it went out to the swamp. It was the fact that he left the door open and it went out to the swamp. It inhaled bad air by the swamp, and that's what killed it. So the pshia and what ended up happening are connected. One did lead to another. Not like over here that the pshia did not lead to the oines. Over here the pshia did lead to the oines. That's why everyone will agree that chayiv. Now, on the other side of the coin, Rava says that in this case you are potter, and everyone will agree to me that you are potter. And call Daina, any judge, the Lord Daina that does not judge Ki like this judgment, Lav Daina, he's not even a judge. Now 1 second, let's see. The man that says Tchilas b'pshia v'seif b'inus potter, the one who holds that the Tchilas b'pshia v'seif is potter, will he align with Rava? Yeah, sure, he will agree in this case that you're potter. What about the man that says Tchilas b'pshia v'seif b'inus chayiv? Seemingly, this is a case of Tchilas b'pshia v'seif b'inus. How will he agree? Why would he agree that in this case you're potter? And for the Gemara, no, he's also going to agree. Everyone's going to agree, according to Rava, everyone's going to agree that in this case you are potter. Why? Because in this case it died naturally. And the Malach HaMavis would have killed it. The Malach HaMavis would have killed it over here. Malach HaMavis would have killed it over here. Therefore, even though he was negligent and it went out to the swamp, at the end, it died naturally. Lepoy will die naturally, so he's potter. And everyone will agree that he's potter. And Rashi explains what's taka the difference between them. In the case of the heart, the man who holds chayiv will taka say, look, you didn't watch it properly. Why? Because the proper way of watching it is by burying it. If you would have watched it properly, if you would have buried it, it wouldn't get stolen. So the fact that you put it in the hut and didn't watch it properly brought about doinus. It directly led to it getting stolen. But in this case, the pshia did not equal what ended up happening. Leaving the door open had nothing to do with the fact that it died naturally. We don't suspect that it died because of the ear. It just died naturally. It came the end of its life. The Malach HaMavis decided to take its life away, and it would have died over here. It would have died over here. So the fact they left the door open, the fact they did a pshia, has nothing to do with what ended up happening, and that's why everyone will agree that potter. So in conclusion, Abaya says, in the name of Rabba, that in our case you are chayiv, and Rabba says in the name of Abaya, in this case you are potter. At the same time, we have two opinions of Tchilas b'pshia v'seif b'inus chayiv, and Tchilas b'pshia v'seif b'inus potter. Now, is Abaya going to agree with? Is the opinion that holds Tchilas b'pshia v'seif b'inus chayiv going to agree with Abaya? Yes, for sure. What about the opinion that holds Tchilas b'pshia v'seif b'inus potter? Yes, they're also going to agree with Abaya. Everyone's going to agree with Abaya according to Abaya. Why? Why is everyone going to agree in this case you're chayiv? Because Havlo the Agma Katla, the ear of the swamp killed it. On the other side of the coin, Rava says you are potter. In this case, you are potter. The Mandomar that says Tchilas b'pshia v'seif b'inus, for sure will agree that you're potter. Even the Mandomar that says Tchilas b'pshia v'seif b'inus chayiv will agree in this case that you are potter. Why? Because the Malach HaMavis would have killed it. Malach HaMavis could have killed it over here. Malach HaMavis would have killed it over here. So the fact that it was negligent has nothing to. It doesn't matter. It would have died anyway. And therefore, everyone agrees that you are potter. That is the end of the first piece of the Gemara. Let's learn it b'fnim. As I always say, it's very important to learn the Gemara b'fnim. So take out your Gemara. What's going on here? Take out your Gemara and read a bit together. The words of the Gemara make it much clearer in your mind. You're using your whole body for learning Torah. You're using out your whole body for serving Hashem. What can be better than that? Okay, here we go. We're holding on Daf Lamed Vav on Beis Itmar, about a quarter down from the top of the page. Itmar, we learned Pasha if he was negligent in it, Viyatzat Lagam, and went out to the swamp. Umesa Kedarka, and died naturally. Abaye Mishmei de Rabba Omar Chayev. Abaye, in the name of Rabba, says you are Chayev. Rabba Mishmei de Rabba Omar. Rabba, in the name of Rabba, says Potter, you are Potter. Now, let's go back. Abaye Mishmei de Rabba Omar Chayev. Abaye, in the name of Rabba, says you are Chayev. And called, any judge, the Lord Dain that does not judge, like this judgment. Lav Dino, he's not a judge. It's not needed, according to the one who says, you don't need to tell me that the one who holds chayev will agree, the chayev, that in our case you're chayev. For sure they'll agree to me that in this case you're chayev. Ella, rather, even according to the mandama that says potter, chayev. Over here they will agree that you're chayev. In our case they'll agree that you're chayev. For the Gemara at my time, or what's the reason? And for the Gemara, the Amrinon, because we say, Havlo the Agma Kotlo. In this case, the ear of the swamp is what killed it. Therefore, you were negligent. You left the doors open. And it went out to the swamp and inhaled the bad air. That's a clear negligence. Everyone will agree that you are chayiv. Now on the flip side, Rava Mishmei the Rabba Omar Potter. Rava in the name of Rabba says you are Potter. And call Dino, any judge. The Lord Dain that does not judge Kihai like this judgment, Lav Dino is not a judge. Everyone agrees with me. It's not needed. You don't need to tell me. It's obvious. According to the one who holds that the one who holds that if it starts off with the Einus and it ends up, it starts off with the Pshir and it ends up with the Einus, you're Potter. Sure, they're going to agree to me. In this case, the Potter that you are Potter. Ella, but rather, even according to the one who holds chayiv, that you are chayiv, by tchilas of b'pshia v'seiv b'inus, hocha potter. Over here, in this case, they'll say they're potter. For the Gemara in my time, and what's the reason? And for the Gemara, the amninam, because we say, malach hamaves, the malach hamaves, mali hocha, what difference does it make to me over here? Mali hasam, what difference does it make to me over there? If the malach hamaves would have killed it, the malach hamaves would have killed it anywhere. If it's the end of its life, it would have died at home, it would have died in the swamp. So I'm potter because it would have died anyway. It would have died even without the negligence. The negligence had nothing to do with the dying. Rashi, closer to the top of the page, Pasha, who was negligent in it. The case of our Gemara, of our Sugya. Pasha, he was negligent in it. How was he negligent in it? Shaloi noal b'fanei karoi, because he didn't lock the door in front of it properly. Again, shaloi noal, because he did not lock the fanel in front of it karoi properly. Viyatzat laagam, and it went out to the swamp. Zok Rashi, Mokaim, a place she'eina mishtameres sham, that's not guarded over there. Eitzel ze'evim, in regard to wolves. V'lo yetzel ganavim, and not in regard to thieves. It's not very safe in regard to wolves and thieves. Umihu, but however, lo yachaluha, they did not eat it, did not consume it, lo yzevim, v'lo ganavim, not wolves and not thieves. Something else happened to it. It was Mesa Kedarka. Next to Rashi, Mesa, and it died. The Have, because it is, it started off with negligence. He left the barn open. Shema, and what's the negligence involved over there? Shema yitrefua ze'evim. Maybe wolves will attack it, will tear it up. The soifoi, but its end, loy of it did not get lost. It did not go gone. But with that negligence, it didn't go gone because of the wolves and thieves, which is likely to happen if you leave the door open. Elo b'davar shehu oines, rather with something that was oines, and ended up getting lost, killed with something that was oines, uncontrollable. Mesa Kedarka. Next Rashi. Loi b'boy lamandamar. It's not needed according to the one who holds Tchilasa b'pshia v'seiv v'oines chayev and so on and so forth. 1 second, wait. What's this Tchilasa b'pshia v'seiv v'oines case? What's the case? What's the din? What are we talking about? Says Rashi, L'kamon b'pirkin, later in our parak, Daf Mem Beis Amud Aleph, Gabe Hahu, regarding that person, the Oisiv Zuzi, that he put money, the Pikodin, not his own money. They put the money of a deposit. Someone gave him money to watch, and he put it, B'tzrifa de Urvini, in the hut of the shepherds. The Have Pshi'usa, that putting it there, the Have that it is, Pshi'usa, a negligence. Legabe Nura, in regard to fire, it's very flammable, made out of straw, made out of twigs, branches, whatever it is, it's very flammable. Unetirusa, and it's considered a good guarding, le'inyan ganvi, in regard to thieves. And what ended up happening? The ignovan was stolen. So it's not regular for it to get stolen from such a place, but it was stolen. The gneva gabe shemer chinam, and gneva, theft, in regard to a shemer chinam, oinasu, is uncontrollable. Why? Because I gave my animal to Mendel to watch. He's a nice guy. He did me a favor, and now it got stolen. Like, what do you want from me? It's uncontrollable. Compared to shemer chinam, a gneva is uncontrollable. He's not held responsible. Rather, even according to the mandama that holds potter, chayiv over here, you're going to be chayiv up to Rashi. Why? What's the difference? What's the difference between the case of the tent and the money, the hut and the money, and our case of you left the door open and went out to the swamp? What's the difference? The Hassam, because over there, by the money in the hut, lake up shiusa, there isn't any negligence, ella only le'inyan nura, in regard to fire. Aval hacha, but over here, ikol l'meimar, you could say, b'pshia mesa, it died because of the negligence. Over there, it didn't get stolen because of negligence. The only negligence was only in regard to fire. If it would have get burnt, yeah, it was negligence. But it ended up getting stolen. Over here, the negligence caused and brought about to what ended up happening. Aval hacha, but over here, ikol l'meimar, you could say, b'pshia mesa, it died because of the negligence. She'im ha'isa b'vayis, because if it would have been in the house, and he wouldn't leave the doors open, loy mesa, wouldn't have died. Viyatzat laagam, and it's going, and the fact that it went out to the swamp, pshias misasa, that is the negligence of its death. That is the negligence that brought about to its death. The shema, because maybe hevel hamatzi bagam, the ear that's found in the swamp, Kotla killed it. Mali hacha chulu. What difference does it make to me over here? Zot Rashi. What's the difference between on the other side of the coin? According to the opinion of Rava, what's the difference between Tchilasa b'pshia v'seiv v'oines chayev, and this case everyone will agree upon? What's the difference? Aval hasam, but over there, Gabi Zuzi, regarding the money in the hut. In Shamram Kil Chasam, if he guarded them the way he was supposed to, according to the halacha. Now start parentheses. The kaim along, because we established to it with ksofim, money, ein lahem shmira ela bakarka. There's no good watchman guarding of money besides for burying it. So the halacha is that the only way to guard money properly is by burying it. End parentheses. So if you would have guarded them like the halacha is, loy nignavu, they wouldn't get stolen. The afal gav, even though the kaimalon that we established to it, b'tzrifa the orvini, they put it in a hut of the shepherds. And derech ganavim, it's not the way of robbers levaker shamois, to look there for money. The oinasu, and it's an oinas. Mihu, however, al yidei shaloi shamar kedin shmirasam, through the fact and because of the fact that he didn't guard it the way that he was supposed to, Avdu, they were lost. So over there by the hut, by the money in the hut, if he would have guarded it, well, then it wouldn't get stolen. If he would have buried it, then it wouldn't get stolen. The reason why it got stolen was because he didn't guard it well. So the pshia brought it back to the oines. Aval parazu, but this cow, even if it would have been at home, even if he would have locked the door with 100 different locks, it still would have died. So then for sure, you're putter. It would have died anyway. Okay. With that we conclude part 1. Let's continue on to the next shiur, the next part. Now, I could imagine that Abaya and Rava were debating this topic, whether Chayav or Pater, very, very heatedly. They're really, really arguing and discussing it out very thoroughly. To the extent that each one said, whoever doesn't agree with me is not even a dime. So, in the midst of their arguing, I can imagine, and this is my own opinion, and my own, the way how maybe this happened. Maybe throughout the conversation, it came up that in a certain variant of our case, Abaya will admit to Rava that you are pater, and in a certain variant of the case, Rava will admit to Abaya that you are chayav. So let's start off with Umaydi Abaya. Abaya will admit to Rava that you are pater if the cow went back to the house of the owner or the shomer. If it went back to the house, umesa, and then it died naturally. That in such a case, we don't suspect that maybe the ear of the swamp killed it. We don't suspect that. If the ear of the swamp killed it, it would have died by the swamp. If it went home and then later it died naturally, then we don't blame it on the ear of the swamp, and he will be pater. So even though in the beginning he was negligent and it went out to the swamp, now the negligence is over. He came back home. There's no more negligence involved. It's back home, and now it dies naturally. Everyone will agree that pater, even Abaya will admit to Rava. And now on the other side, on the flip side, Umaydi Rava, and Rava will admit to Abaya that you are chayav if the Igan V'Ganev, if a Ganev will steal the cow from the swamp, Umesa Kadarka Be'Ganev, and it dies naturally by the Ganev, then everyone will agree that in this case you are chayav. Why? Because if the Malach HaMavis wouldn't have killed it, where would it be now? Very good, it would be by the Ganev. And would you be chayav? Yeah, because you were negligent. You left the door open and it got stolen. So, being that you're already chayav just from it being stolen, even if it dies, you continue to be chayav. And as Rashi explains, from the moment it was stolen, you are chayav. And we don't say, well, either way it would have died, because right now, where is it? Right now it's by the guy, right? Okay, so you're chayav. It was stolen. Even though it died, it was stolen, you're chayav for it. And with that we conclude part number 2 of our sugya. So let's open back our Gemara and let's learn it inside. Umaydi Abaya, and Abaya admits to Rava the hadra leveimara, that if it goes back to the house of the owner or the shomer, umesa, and it dies, the pater that you are pater. For the Gemara, my time, what's the reason? And for the Gemara, the hadra law, because it went back for itself. The lake of the you cannot say havlo the agmakatla, it's the ear of the swamp that killed it. Meaning we don't suspect any further that the ear of the swamp killed it. Umaydi Rava, and Rava admits, Kol Hecha, anywhere, the Ignava Ganev Ba'agam, if the Ganev stole it from the Agam, Umesa Kedarka, and it died naturally, Bei Ganev, by the Ganev, Chayev, then you're going to be Chayev. The Chayev, you're Chayev. Frank the Gemara, my time, and what's the reason? And for the Gemara, the Shavka Malach HaMoves, because if the Malach HaMoves would have left it alone and not killed it, where would it be? The basically the Gam V'Avakaimo. It would have been standing right now in the house of the Ganim. So since it's right now by the Ganim, if it would have been alive, it would be by the Ganim. So therefore you are chayiv. Rashi. The Ignev of Ganim B'Agam. If it was stolen from the swamp, Shezehu Davar, because this is a thing, Shehu Pshio, which is a negligence, Eitzel Yetzias Lagam, in regard to it going out to the swamp. What happens if it goes out by itself to the swamp? It's going to get stolen. So that's a negligence. Afal Pi, even though Shesoifel, that its end is Mesa, that it died Beganiv by the Ganiv, still, Chayiv, you are Chayiv. V'lo Yomar, and we do not say, if it would have been in the house of the Shomer, Nami have a Mesa, would have also died. No, we don't say that. We don't say that it would have died anyway. No, because right now, where is it? Right now it's by the Ghana. So I'm sorry, Mr. You're Chayiv. Mr. Shomer, you are Chayiv. My time, or what's the reason? Zogt Rashi. Mish'as Gneva. Rashi comes to explain what's the reason. Mish'as Gneva, from the moment of it getting stolen, it is lost, it is completely gone from the owners. The inami shavka malach hamavis, because if also the malach hamavis would have left it alone and not killed it, they ganiv havakaima would have been standing by the ganiv. Hilkach, therefore, hachiyuv boloi, the obligation to pay for the animal because he was negligent, boloi comes to him al shas hagneva, because of the time it was stolen. As soon as it was stolen, sorry, Mr. Shemer, you are chayiv. Even though it ended up dying, I'm sorry, sir, you are chayiv because you left the gate open and it went out and it was stolen. From that moment, you are chayiv. It died later naturally, doesn't matter. You're already chayiv. It got stolen. It's not by us anymore. It's by the Ghana. Now you are chayiv. With that, we conclude part number 2. And now for part number 3, we need to really put on our Gemara cup, our thinking caps. And before we go on, let's recap. Let's recap Abaya's opinion. In conclusion, sorry, Rava's opinion. Rava says, Potter. In this case, if you were negligent, you left the gate open, went out to the swamp, died naturally, you are Potter. And everyone will agree with the Rava. Both the Manam and B'Shiv Sev Ben is Chayiv, and both the Manam and B'Shiv Sev Ben is Potter. Everyone will agree with the Rava. The Manam that says B'Shiv Sev Ben is Potter, for sure they align. For sure he agrees. Even the Manam that says B'Shiv Sev Ben is Chayiv will agree with Rava. Why? Why will he agree in this case that you are Potter? Because the Malach HaMavis would have killed it over here and would have killed it over here. That means that Rava holds of a very unique type. Rava holds that Mesa Kedarka is a unique type of illness. It's so unique that the Malach HaMavis would have killed it anywhere. Okay? And Rava says that everyone agrees with me, right? Everyone agrees that you're a Potter because Mesa Kedarka would have died anywhere, even if you would have kept it at home. Doesn't matter, it would have died anywhere. It would have died naturally anywhere. So just keep in mind that Rava holds that everyone agrees that Mesa Kedarka is unique. Mesa Kedarka is like a special type of inus. The Mali Hacha, Mali Hasan, there's such a concept that the Malach HaMavis would have killed it over here, would have killed it over here. And that's why you are Potter. Because the Malach HaMavis would have anyway killed it. So it really doesn't matter if you left the door open or not. The Malach HaMavis would have killed it anywhere, and you are Potter. Now, what the Gemara is about to do, the Gemara is going to go back 100, bring down a kasha and a teretz, and Abaya is going to ask Rava, 1 second, if you're right, why didn't the Gemara use your answer? But from the fact that the Gemara did not use your answer, must be you're not right. Must be not everyone agrees with you. And then Rabbi is going to answer that back. Let me explain. Let's go through it. Okay? Let's start and let's go through. Let's recap a question and answer that we learned last moment. Okay? The case that we were talking about was if a balabayas gives his laptop to Shemer number 1, and Shemer number 1 gives it to Shemer number 2 to watch, which is the case of Shemer, Shemasar the Shemer that gives to another Shemer. And there was a machlokes over there, and Rabbi Yochanan says, and now it's gone, the laptop is gone, you're lost, stolen, I don't know, whatever. Rabbi Yochanan says you're a chayiv. Now, Rami Bar Chomo, sorry, my mistake, Rabbi Abba Bar Mamo asked a kasha to Rabbi Ami. Rabbi Ami was Rabbi Yochanan's student. Rabbi Ami said that my Rebbe learned Shemer Shemasa Shemer is chayiv. So Rabbi Abba Bar Mamo asked a kasha to Rabbi Ami on Rabbi Yochanan. 1 second. We learned in our Mishnah, if a balabayis rents out his car to the soicher, and the soicher lends it to the shoyef, and then it dies naturally, the soicher, what's the din? According to the Tanakhama, the soicher makes a shvur. He swears that it died naturally to the balabayis, and he is potter. And the shoyel is chayiv to pay to the soicher. Now, frek Rabbi Abba Bar Mama, 1 second. Hey, if Rabbi Yochanan is right that you are chayiv, why? Because the balabayas could say, I don't want my stuff by someone else. Then why doesn't the balabayas in the Mishnah also say, I don't want my stuff by someone else? You should tell the soicher, why are you giving my stuff to someone else? And instead of being potter, the soicher should really be chayiv, because the balabayas doesn't want his stuff by something else, by someone else. I don't want you giving my car to Mr. Shoyl. You gave it to Mr. Shoyl, you are chayiv. So that was a kasha that Rabbi Abba Bar Mamo asked on Rabbi Yochanan. And Rabbi Ami answered him that in this case of the Mishnah, it's talking about a case where the balabayas gave the soicher permission. He said, I don't mind if you lend it out to someone else. If you understand, if you want to lend it out to someone else, I don't mind. That was the Gemara's kasha and text. Now the Gemara is going to go back. Now Abaya is going to ask Rava, 1 second. If you're right, why didn't the Gemara use your answer? And let's see how that works. How would that work? Okay? Again, we have the din of Shemer Shemasal Shemer is chayiv. And we have the din of the Mishnah, the Balabayas rents it out to the Seicher gives it to the Shoyl. The Seicher is potter with a Shruah. Makes a shruah and he's potter, and the shoyl needs to pay to the soicher. Frek Abaya to Rava. 1 second. According to you, that you hold that Mesa Kedarka is some interesting, unique concept. That Mali Hacha Mali Hasam, there's a screenshot from last slide, that the Rava holds that in the case of Mesa Kedarka, it would have died anywhere, and that's why you're potter, so it doesn't matter if you're negligent. If it died naturally, it would have died anyway, and you're potter. 1 second. If everyone holds that Mesa Kedarka is unique, and you could say, Mali Yacha Mali Asam, when the Gemara, let's go through the Gemara's kasha, the Gemara asked, that according to Rabbi Yochanan Shemer, Shemasal Shemer is chayiv. Why? Because I don't want my stuff by someone else. The Gemara asked, why can't the balabayas tell the soicher, I don't want my stuff by someone else? You know what the Gemara should have answered? It says Abaya to Rava. The Gemara should have answered your logic. The Gemara could have answered, well, you know, this Mishnah is talking about a totally different case. This Mishnah is totally different. Why? Because it was Mesa Kedarka, it died naturally. Mesa Kedarka is unique because even it would have died anywhere. It would have died anyway. It would have died by him. It would have died over here. So the answer of the Gemara would be, well, the Soicher could tell the Balabayas, the car would have conked out if it was by me or it was by him. Well, you know, sir, I know that you don't want my stuff by someone else, But Mali Hasam, who would have died anyway. Good answer, no? One second. If you're right about this concept of Mali Hasam, why didn't we use this as an answer? Let's repeat that again, quickly. The Gemara's kasha was, why can't the Balabayas say, I want my stuff by someone else, and then instead of the Seicher being Pater, the Seicher should be Chayiv? And the answer of the Gemara would have been, this Mishnah is talking about something totally different. Because it's Mesa Gedarka. Mesa Gedarka is unique, it's Mali Hasam. The Seicher could tell the Balabayas, even though you don't want my stuff by someone else, but still, Mali Hasam would have died anywhere. That's why I'm Pater. And now comes Rava's answer to Abaye, which is such a blow, if I may use such a term. Rava tells Abaye, one second. Rabbi Yochanan says, Shemesh Shemasar L'Shemer is Chayiv. Why? Because the Balabayas could say, I don't want my stuff by someone else. Wait 1 second. Who says that? You! You say it, Abaye, that's your reason. I have a totally different reason. I say that the reason why Shemesh Shemasar L'Shemer is Chayiv is because the Balabayas could say, I trust you with a Shvuah, I don't trust him with a Shvuah. So according to me, there's not even that kasha that we had before of the Balabayas could say, I don't want my stuff by someone else. Well, there's no kasha. I don't even say that. I don't even hold to that. In fact, as Rashi has this, in fact, according to me, according to my reason, this Mishnah works very well. Because my reason why Shemesh Shemasar L'Shemer is Chayiv, because I don't trust him with a Shvuah. But in this Mishnah, who's making the Shvuah? Him or him? The Seicher is making the Shvuah. And the Balabayas trusts the person they gave it to. He trusts the Seicher. And the Seicher is the one making the Shvuah. So in a case of Shemesh Shemasar L'Shemer, and he's going to have to make the Shvuah, he's going to be Chayiv because I don't trust this Shvuah. And over here, well, I do trust your Shvuah. So it works very well with Rava's reason. According to Abaye, however, that says, I don't want my stuff by someone else, according to that, you can ask, 1 second, the Balabayas should say, I don't want my stuff by someone else, and instead of being Pater, you should be Chayiv. So according to Abaye, there's a question, and then you need an answer. But according to Rava, there's not even a question. Not a question, not an answer. Beautiful. Let's learn that piece inside. And if you need to repeat this shiur, this part of the Gemara, repeat it. Or if you want, I recorded it also in the bonus Chazara. So if you want other words and to listen to it in another angle, you could go back to the bonus Chazara Shiur. Probably I'll put a link in the description. And you could learn it from another angle over there. Also, learning it b'fnim will also bring clarity and understanding to this shiur, to this part of the Gemara. We're holding Amar le Abaye le Rava. Amar le Abaye le Rava. Abaye said to Rava, Lididach, according to you, the Amar that you say, Malach HaMaves, Mali Hasam, that the Malach HaMaves would have killed it anywhere. According to you, that you hold that Mesa Kedarka is a unique type of Venus. That you're going to be Pater because the Malach HaMaves would have killed it anywhere. Hi, the Oisvei Rabbi Abba Bar Mamo le Rabbi Ami. This that Rabbi Abba Bar Mamo asks Rabbi Ami, Vishani le, and he answers to him, Bishanas Niloi Ba'alim Rishus Lahashil. It's talking about when the owners give him permission to lend it out. V'lei Molei, and he should say to him, Malach HaMaves, Mali Hasam, that the reason why the Seicher is Pater in the Mishnah is because he could say, I don't want my stuff by someone else. That could be a beautiful answer. Why wouldn't you say it's because the Mishnah is talking about a case that the Balabayas said, I can give you could lend out my stuff if you want. Why don't we just give the simpler answer? That the Seicher could say, sorry sir, but it would have died anyway. It would have died by me, it would have died by the Shoyal. And for the Gemara, Amar Le, so he said to him, according to you, the Masnisu that you learn, Abaye says back to Rava says back to Abaye, But according to you, that you learn, and that the reason why Shemer Shemasol Shemer is Chayiv is because is because I don't want my stuff by someone else. You could ask that kasha. But according to me, the Amina that I hold, you are believed to me with a shvua, and he is not believed to me with a shvua. You cannot ask that altogether. According to me, there's not even a kasha at all. So therefore, I don't need that answer. Zokt Rashi, this that Rabbi Abba asked, what did he ask? What was his question? Says Rashi earlier, last Amud. From the Mishnah that says someone who rents a cow, and lent it out to someone else. Lema, the question was, Lema, this Balabai should say, it's not my will, chulu, etc. It's not my will that you should lend it to someone else, and the Seicher should be chayiv. V'shanile, and he answers to him, Zokt Rashi, V'shanile, and he answers, Rabbi Abba Bar Mama answers, V'shanas meloi ha'ba'olim reshus. It's talking about when the owner is given permission. My duchke. Rashi explains now what is Abaya's question on Rabbi? My duchke, what's his push? Why is Rabbi Ami a twist? L'shenuyei hachi, to learn like this. Why does Rabbi Ami twist the Mishnah to be in a case that the owner gave permission to lend it out? I have a much better answer. Neimolei, he should say to him. Who should say to who? Let the answer be that the Soicher should tell the Balabayas, Neimolei again. Neimolei, who should say to who? In the Mishnah, the Soicher should tell the Balabayas. Im irabo oines. If a different oinus would have happened to it, the matzinu lemeimar, that it's possible to say, they were able to find a way to say, im hoysa babayis, if it would have been in my house, loy nansa, it wouldn't have been, it wouldn't have had this oinus, hayachayev, then I would be chayev. Again, the soicher could tell the balabayis if something else happened to it. For example, I got struck by lightning, so, well, if it would be in my house, maybe it wouldn't be there by the lightning. But since it's by the shoyl, so the lightning happened, so we got struck by lightning. So fine. Avolzu, but over here, Mesa Kedarka died naturally. And if it died naturally, the Malachamavis, Nami Bebeis HaSoicher, also in the house of the Soicher, Katilo would have killed it. Now says Rashi, and what's talking the kasha on Rava, umideloi shani lehochi, and from the fact that Rabbi Ami does not learn like this, Shabninon, we understand that not everyone agrees that Besa Kedarka is unique to Maliyacham Maliyasam. Not everyone agrees that you're automatically potter by Besa Kedarka because Maliyacham Maliyasam. Shabninon, we understand. Leman Nomar Tchilas B'Pshir V'Sev B'Oines Chayiv. According to the Leman Nomar that says Tchilas B'Pshir V'Sev B'Oines Chayiv. Loishna does make a difference. Oinas malachamaves, the oinas of the malachamaves, mishar oinsim from any other oinas. And for the Gemara, lididchu, according to you, says Rabbi Tabai, according to you, the amrisu that you say, taima, the reason why the shemer shemasol shemer chayv, the reason why shemer shemasol shemer is chayv, mishum is because in Yitzayni, the Balabais could say, I don't want my stuff by someone else. You could ask that question. And what was comfortable for Rabbi Ami, Shani Lei answered him, I know, however, I do not hold loyat kafta, not of the kasha, veloy shinuya, and not of the answer. Because according to me, the Abdi Leil that I said before, and I said earlier, time of the reason why Shemer Shemasal Shemer is chayiv mishum the loy meheiman lei b'shvua, because the owner could say, I don't trust the other guy with a shvua. Leikaloy svakla. You can't ask the kasha at all. And actually, it works very well with my reasoning works very well with the Mishnah. Sheharei, because Soicher Atzmoi Nishbaloi, the Soicher himself swears to the Balabais. Kedetran, as we learned in the Mishnah, Yishava HaSoicher, the Soicher should swear Shemesa Kedarka, that died naturally. With that, we conclude this third part of our sugya. Now let's go on to the final part of our sugya. Okay. Okay, we learned this right. Okay, so where are we holding? In our case, Pasha ba viyatzet laagam meisa kedarka. Okay, in our case, Abaya says chayev. Why? Because the ear of the swamp killed it. Now this part of the Gemara has back and forth and back and forth. Therefore, I feel that it would be very helpful if we have a side panel guiding us where exactly we're holding. Okay, and each kasha is on the previous tenets. Okay, and we'll make it very clear as we go. Frag the Gemara on Abaya now. Last kasha was on Rava. Now this kasha is on Abaya. We learned the Mishnah on Tzadik Gimel Amud Beis. Now I'm going to give you the full Mishnah right now. Okay? So this part of the Mishnah is not relevant right now, but we're going to get back to it later. So listen up. Also, if a shomer had an animal and the animal went up by itself. Again, also it went up by itself. L'Rashi took into the top of the peaks. As you can see, the shomer stayed down, and the animal went up. The nafla and it fell. Hareza oinas the zoinas, and you are potter. That's the beginning of the Mishnah. Reisha of the Mishnah. Now comes the seif of the Mishnah, and this is actually what we need to know now. Hello, Rashi took it. If he took it up, as you can see, the shepherd went up also. Hello, Rashi took it. If he took it up to the top of the peak, v'nafla, and it fell. Ein zoinas. It's not an oinas. V'chayev, and you are chayev. So this is the Mishnah. Reisha, seifa. These are the two parts of the Mishnah. Now we make a deal, which is not part of the Mishnah. Something that we learn out from the Mishnah. But if it died naturally at the top of the mountain, it didn't fall down, it died naturally, then if it fell, then you are chayim. But if it died naturally, if you took it up and it died naturally, then you are potter. Frag the Gemara, if Abaya is right, that if it went to the swamp and it died naturally, we blame it on the bad ear. Why don't we apply the same thing? Why should he be potter? Let's apply the same idea that avira the har katla, maybe the wind and the high altitude, the cold, as Rashi says, the cold ear of the mountain killed it. Why don't we blame it on? Why is it potter? It should be chayev. Or you could say another external factor. Maybe umtsana the har katla. Maybe it's the exhaustion, the fact that he had to climb up the whole mountain. Maybe that's what killed it. Why don't we just say Mesek Darka Potter? And you should be chayev. And for the Gemara, we're moving on now to the first answer of the Gemara. Well, you know what? The reason why he took it up to the top of the mountain is because if he took it up for a good and fat, juicy, grassy pasture. So, as Rashi explains, all the shepherds take their animals up to this pasture. So you can't blame it on bad ear. Everyone does it. Can't blame it on exhaustion. Everyone does it. For the Gemara, 1 second. You're telling me that everyone does it. So then, if everyone takes their animal up, why are you chayiv if it fell? Naflanami, if it fell, now kasha back to the Mishnah. Kasha from the tirutz, onto the Mishnah. 1 second. If we're talking about a case where it's a good pasture and everyone takes it up, 1 second. Why if it fell are you chayiv? You should be potter. And for the Gemara, you know why you're chayiv over here? Because he had to hold on to it. He wasn't holding on to the animal, and that's why it fell. So that's why you are chayiv. You remember we said before that we're going to bring back the Reisha? Now is where the Gemara brings in the Reisha. Frag the Gemara, Eimar Reisha. Let's look at the Reisha of the Mishnah. If it went up by itself and it fell, then you are potter. 1 second. If the reason why he is chayiv over here is because he didn't hold on to it, why is he potter over here? He should have held on to it, and he should have been chayiv that when it fell. And for the Gemara, actually over here, we're talking about a case Last answer, the Gemara, Taqfasiv also, Taqfasiv Yarda. He actually tried, he tried holding on to it, but it was too strong, it was stronger than him. It went up the mountain, and it fell down the mountain. He tried holding on to it, and he wasn't able to. So now let's go over the Mishnah and the deal with all the details that we know, the details from the Mishnah and the details that the Gemara added based on all of these questions and answers. The Mishnah of the Mishnah is, it went up by itself to a good pasture, and he tried holding on to it, and he couldn't hold on, it was too strong, and it fell, then it's oinus. You're potter. Okay? How about if he took it up for good pasture, and he didn't hold on to it, and it fell, then you are chayiv. If he took it up, and it died naturally over there, if he took it up for good pasture, so everyone takes it up there, in good pasture, and it died naturally, then you are potter. And that concludes our sugya. Let's learn it inside. We're holding Masiv Rami Bar Chama. Rami Bar Chama asked the kasha. Masiv Rami Bar Chama asked the kasha. We learned in the Mishnah, we're asking a kasha on Abaya. Hela l'Rashi Tzukin. Now the Gemara goes straight and brings the seifa of the Mishnah. The second part of the Mishnah. Hela l'Rashi Tzukin. If you took it up to the top of the peaks, v'nafla, and it fell down, ein zavarinus, there's not an oinus, v'chayiv, and you are chayiv. Ha, Mesa Kedarka. Now we make a deal. We learn out from this. Ha, deal. Ha, Mesa Kedarka. If it died naturally, Hareza Oinus. It's Oinus. Upater, and you're a Pater. Friend the Gemara of Amai, and why? Lei, you should say to him, Avira the Harkatla. The owner should say to the Shemer, you are Chayiv. Why are you taking it up to the top of the mountain? It's the ear of the mountain that killed it. Inami, or also another reason why it died. Uftzina dahar katla. Maybe the exhaustion of the mountain is what killed it. That would, like according to Abaya, Abaya would say like that. So why don't we blame it? Why don't we blame it on the ear? Why don't we blame it on the exhaustion like Abaya would? And for the Gemara, Mayaskinon over here, what are we talking about? Shehela, they took it up. Lemir shamin b'toy, to a good and fat and juicy pasture. So everyone takes it up there, and it's a regular thing that all the animals go up there, so you can't blame it on bad ear or anything else. Frag the Gemara, if so, if it's a regular thing to take it up there, if so, naflanami, if it fell, you should also be potter. Everyone takes it up there. If it fell, I'm sorry, sir, that's a mistake, that's uncontrollable. It fell. What am I supposed to do? And for the Gemara, you know what you're supposed to do? Because it's actually talking about a case, the Mishnah is talking about a case where he should have held on to it. The Loi Takva, and he didn't hold on to it. That's why you're chayiv in the Mishnah. If so, say the Reisha of the Mishnah. Right? The Gemara is now asking, 1 second, bring the Reisha, bring in the Reisha. What does the Reisha say? Also, if it went up by itself, L'Rashi Tzukin, to the top of the peaks, the nafla, and it fell down, Hareze Oines, it's Oines. He should have held on to it. Why are you potter in the Reisha? He should have held on to it. And for the Gemara law, you know, tzricha, it's needed. Shetakfasei, also, because he held on to it, and it went up, takfasei v'yarda, and he held on to it, and it fell down. So he really tried holding on to it, but he really couldn't control it. It was too strong for him. Rashi, Hela l'Rashi Tzukin. He took it up to the top of the mountains. Shomer is Shomer. Shehela l'Rashi Hari. A Shomer that took his animal up to the top of the mountains. Chadim, they are sharp, and steep. V'nafla, and it fell down. Ein zoinus is not an oinus. Why not? Elo pshia, rather it's a pshia. The dark kalipa, because it's a regular thing for it to fall. So don't take it up to such a steep and sharp mountain. Oh, mesa gedarka, but if it died naturally, biroy shatzuk in the top of the tip, the top of the peak, potter yar potter dahave, because it becomes soifa b'oinus, then ends up with oinus. Avira, what does it mean? The ear of the mountain. Zakt Rashi, Tzino, the cold. As we know, higher altitude are cold. Uvtzino, the exhaustion. Zakt Rashi, what does it mean? Aifus, the tiredness, toirach, of the hassle, amala, of going up. Lemir eshamin v'toiv, to a good and fat pasture. And what's the Gemara's answer? The derech haroyim, because the way of the shepherds, lahalois sham behemois, to take their animals up there, lirois, to pasture. L'toikfa, to hold, he should have hold on strong to it. Lahachzikba, to hold on strong. Shekain derech haroyim, because that's what regular shepherds do. They take up their animals there, but they hold on strong to it. So he had to hold on strong. Also went up, in the Reisha of the Mishnah, went up, what's the difference? Also went up me'eleha, by itself. So the Reisha is talking about when it went up by itself. Shetakvasai, he tried holding on to it. Al karchai, against its will. But also, and it went up. Sorry, Shetakvasai, that the animal was stronger than him. Al karchai, against his will. But also, and it went up. The lo yachal hachzikba, and he wasn't able to hold on to it. Because it was stronger than him. And with that we complete this sugya. I wish you a lot of atzlacha on reviewing and learning this sugya. Hopefully this Chzara Shiur helps you a lot. And together with all our learning of Torah, we'll bring to the coming of Mashiach, Tekef Umiyad Mamish.